the better they can speak to you guys.
Sir, can you get off the other piece?
No? I'm being pushed.
All right, 2 steps back, please. You guys, 2 steps back.
I'm gonna run around.
And I serve on the Senate Homeland Security Committee because and also the governor's record.
Oh, please.
Surrounded. No
Surrounded.
So, Stephen, you got your southeast?
How many children are here right now, do you know? They have families. They have places to go. That's right.
They have sponsors.
But they have families. They have parents.
And stuff on the camera. Excuse me.
I have nowhere. You guys know where to
Step
back.
If you can
Guys, I
step
need to
back.
back up. I'm right on the camera.
Okay, media, you guys need to really step back, please.
If members of the media just back up.
Okay, that sign should not be there. Thanks.
Get the candidates to breathe a little bit. I mean, we're on the media, should be
Mayor
about
Pete's
here.
got to breathe.
You're good.
Come on.
Right there. 2 steps back. 2 steps back. Thank you.
Comfortably close.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you perspective it?
Yes, it will be only you and the other 2 persons.
Well, and we need the mayor and governor to go in. They are also here visiting, so they'll go. All right? Okay. Well, wait a moment. Wait a moment.
Brittany.
Okay.
Wait a minute. That's it. That's it. Hold on.
And
That's it.
Pamela, what are your thoughts on this happening
wait a
right now?
moment, and that's it.
Outrageous.
That's it, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator.
And
Thank
their
you.
families right out there.
Yeah.
You are staff?
Senator? Mayor? Mayor Pete? What?
De Castro, he's coming. They go on there.
Yeah, I forget, one's younger, one's older.
She's been inside. Right.
We didn't catch that building there, and then over that white tent over there.
So when they don't let them in, they would not have let them past this point.
Who knows?
You weren't her type either.
He's talking or he's gonna get me.
The presidential candidate, which one?
They're putting a podium over there, so they're doing some interviews here, and then they're sending them to the podium. That's what I got.
Hey guys, we have fish trying to come in.
You are. You're the guy that's running this place. This atrocity. Give us your name.
Hey, you want to tell us what just happened there?
That's the assistant director of this camp. He's been here. He won't speak to us. He won't tell us his name. He's too ashamed of what he does here to tell us his name. I asked him. I'm Joshua Rubin.
And tell us a little bit about why you're here today.
I'm here with a lot of other people who we call ourselves witnesses. We are here to make sure that this place shuts down. And we're here to make sure that these kids are visible. Because what they want to do here is put them behind fences and make them invisible. We're here to make them visible. We're here to shut it down. We're here to make sure that no place like this ever opens again.
What does this mean to you personally?
I'm a Jew and I'm standing outside of a concentration camp. Ask yourself. Ask yourself.
Hold one end. Are you getting tired of it yet?
Fue el tema ganador del debate y que los demócratas como grupo no van dando importancia a la tragedia de los migrantes.
Kind of warm. That's the young man who said it's remarkable.
Turn it both ways.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah. When did you start?
I mean, you don't know they do. I mean, I would assume you always said, I assume my office is ready to go. Take a shower and go to the trash.
Why don't you tell us why you're here today and what your name is and everything?
Okay. All right. Reggie Hubbard, MoveOn.org, or actually Move On. I'm the congressional liaison and DC strategist, but I'm here today in support of the children. I'm here today because this government is doing things that are unconscionable. Like they're separating families, they're separating kids from their parents. They're keeping them not that far from here. And I'm here today not only in support of the children, but in support of the elected officials, Rep. Mercosur Powell, and the presidential candidates that are here to bring light to this issue. Like this stuff has been in darkness. This has been in the shadows, and it's time for us to bring light to this terrible thing of like not only separating children, but this is a stain on our government. This is a stain on our society if we're silent about this. If we're silent about this, silence equals being complicit. If we're complicit, then the blood is on our hands. So we can't do that. This is about standing up for these kids. It's about standing up for democracy and standing up. Asylum is not a criminal act. Asylum is a legal right. And I'm here in support of that, and I'm also here just to stand up not only for the children, but for Move On members and progressive activists and real citizens. They're here to demand their government do the right thing.
And what does this issue mean to you personally?
As someone who is from a marginalized community, to see the government willfully neglect the will of other people is disgusting. And so personally, like, I'm outraged, but I'm also calm and focused and determined to make sure that they don't get away with this, not only by standing up for events like this and supporting elected officials who have the courage and the guts to stand up for this, but also to empower people to stand up and make their government do the right thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel a little bit helpless watching all of this happen. What are things that viewers can do right now? What are actions they can take today, in the coming weeks? What can they do to get involved?
So as my dear friend, Representative Ayanna Pressley says, we don't have the time to be fatigued. We don't have the luxury of being fatigued. We've got to stand up. We've got to be vigilant. So we came here today as strangers, we're gonna leave as friends. We create community and stand together to stand up against this atrocity and this injustice. So reach out to groups like Move On and Indivisible, reach out to your elected officials to make sure that they do the right thing, and if they haven't come out against this, then we make sure that they do so. Yeah.
Please be careful. Staff coming out here. Please be careful. Keep me close. Can you clear a path, please? Yeah, go for it.
Stand back, please, guys.
Don't even smile. I'm sorry for that.
I've wanted.
Oh, my Move On guy. How you doing?
Would you like to tell our viewers why you're out here today?
I'm out here today because I am a mother, I am a grandmother, and I believe strongly that families belong together. My people, and probably everybody here, has family who came from somewhere else and found their dreams in this country. There's no reason that these families can't do the same.
Yeah, and you spoke about this as being a mother. This is a personal issue.
It's very personal. If you love a child, this is not acceptable. If you love another human being, this is not acceptable.
Thank you. And if there's one message you wanted to send to the people working here and to the people writing these laws, what would that be?
Oh, change the system completely. Have some humanity, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did try. Make sure you push it out here.
Move on.
We were live.
Oh, that was live? Am I going to be able to see it?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if y'all see our policies, but they're extremely comprehensive and intersectional.
At least he's live and
Habla fuerte. Is Mary?
Oh, I read that she was gonna be here.
Yo pensé que Mary venía, pero no sé si la vi. Yo ahorita tengo un video de todo eso, yo te lo paso. ¿Cómo te fue en la terapia? Sí.
Yeah, you guys are.
Wow. No. Dale, pues mamita, te amo. Bye. She's like, I just wanted to hear your voice.
I'm sorry, I don't want to lose my start. Am I coming over here? They will push me and shove me
What did I do?
What did you see inside?
The children are very regimented. Everything is
And
very
by watching the debate yesterday, or the past 2 days,
The future.
You know, I'm watching the debates just because the debates are, catching what I can, but I'm reserving my opinions. And I'm looking more for the people who are genuinely interested in the issues that are going on right now.
Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear. 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 No fear. Immigrants are welcome here. No hate, 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 no fear. Shut it down! Shut it down! Homes instead! Shut it down! Homes instead! Shut it down! Homes instead! We are somebody! And we deserve full equality! Right here! Right now! These children are somebody! They deserve full equality!
We had a scheduled meeting availability at 9 before this was set up. And the president
Let her speak! And they deserve full equality! Right here! Right now! Shut it down! 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 Homes instead! Homes instead! Homes instead! Homes instead! Homes instead! Homes instead! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
We'll bring up the banner, but we're not moving.
Oh, I didn't get it.
No.
What did you want to hold this?
There. Nobody. You guys might get a better
Like, it is so sweet. I've been reading pages a day for a month just because I'm so busy with it. At night I want to force myself to read because then I realize that I'm on edge all the time. Especially since I recently got Twitter and this job. I'm just so always scrolling and everything. But then I realized when I read today, it's called Middlemarch, Jane Eyre, Under Solitude.
All right,
So proud of
we
you.
can start walking. I'm with Congresswoman Mukarsa.
You inspire me.
Start walking. How are you?
You inspire me. You're being
can start all
leaders.
walking
That
towards the other
inspires me,
location.
right? To do everything we're doing. And look at my letter and look at your beautiful penmanship. 14 years old. I was born in Miami. Yeah. I agree. We need to close the detention. I agree with you. I will close the detention. Let the children go. People who are profiting off of incarcerated children begin to act.
Oh, can we start? Yeah, she's not sick.
And these raids, I agree. And you should not be traumatized. And you should not be concerned about whether your family is going to be when you come home from school. And he also needs
Okay. So,
and your mother knows how to make patties? No. Really? She makes the meat and the pastry and everything? I want that recipe. You tell her, okay?
Okay.
You keep deciding. See, the thing about leadership, this is how I think about leadership. You're born being a leader. You understand? You're born being a leader. And then it's a matter of when you decide to lead. And you young leaders, you have decided to lead. You have decided to lead, and that is so important. And you will give courage to older leaders and adult leaders because of your courage. And when I look at you, I know our future is very bright. Because when you guys are in roles of leadership like you're in now, everything's going to be okay. So thank you. Thank you. And those recipes, right?
Mariana.
We're going to
Hey, how you doing? Congrats on this.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Hi.
Follow me. Congresswoman.
Thank you.
No, you're good. Good.
Congressman Powell.
So thanks, Mayor P. You're great at this commission. Thank you for everything you do.
You represent our church well. Thank you.
I wanted you to meet my husband.
Yes,
Appreciate
I know.
Kept the vigil here.
I know.
My kids, my husband. We're marching.
Hi, Senator. Robert Powell. Good to see you.
And I don't know where my son went.
Yeah.
He's somewhere over there.
But if you want somebody in a picture, I'm more than happy.
I want to get.
So we're going to start walking?
Yes. All right. Are we ready?
Okay, let's excuse us, guys. We're ready. Just give us a little bit of room, just a little room, guys.
Guys, need a little bit of space. A little bit of space, okay?
Excuse me.
A little bit more space, you guys, so they can have some room.
Where's my son? I mean, since last year, really. I would say at least a dozen times.
And how many times have you been given?
I'm not going.
Five. I've been able to come 5.
We're gonna make a ride over here.
Tell us a little bit what you've seen in the facility. The person
Move, guys. Slow it down.
really, I had heard that it was at the summer camp by some other members that have visited.
Perfect.
And it's basically, it's a prison.
It is a prison.
And when I saw,
Guys, we got to turn around and step up. Turn around and step up. Turn around and step up.
Thank you, guys.
I was in the McAllen, Texas.
In Homeland Security Commission, I talk about that because they're referring these kids as our leaders. And they know about the reports and then they say, but this is out of their jurisdiction.
so this is not a licensed facility.
They're not.
They're calling it an emergency influx shelter. What's happening is they have kids here that are family members. I would say 80% of them have their parents or uncle. They're not reunited. They're keeping them here. The incentive is to keep them here because they're charged. That's right. That's my sister. My sister came too. My sister Monica. And my niece. We're in Mason.
Go on this way.
Sorry, we have to keep moving. I understand that.
Excuse me, please. We could have some time, please.
Did you get in, guys?
No, we did not.
How are
And
you
they
feeling
had
after
no
that?
answers for us.
How are you feeling after seeing that?
I'm outraged that we didn't have access to that facility.
They didn't let you guys see it?
They didn't, and they just started to talk about policies that aren't laws.
What did they say?
ORR policies that are not laws.
Make sure that these kids are okay and monitor what's happening here. It's the same thing.
Have you tried? How are you feeling right now?
Well, look, you get the sense that these folks like
How
to
are you feeling
stonewall
right now?
all the time.
Well, I'm disappointed. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to go see the inside of the facility.
Guys, a little bit of space.
Guys, a little bit of space, please.
You guys, a little bit of space, please.
Guys, we're trying to get to the podium, all right?
Alright, yeah, we gotta get front camera.
Hi folks, thanks for joining us. We'll turn things over to Congresswoman Mover Powell.
Alex.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos por venir esta mañana. Thank you so much. I wanna start by saying thank you to so many individuals and members of our community who have been witnessing what has been happening here at the Homestead Detention Center. Commitment to protecting our kids that I think has really helped bring attention to this issue. I want to thank the presidential candidates that joined me here this morning, showing Miami, showing South Florida that they care about the issues that are affecting us the most. And the priority of the safety of our children should be the priority of anyone who takes the White House. What we have seen from this administration are cruel policies that must stop. And I have hope this morning, and I have had hope meeting everyone throughout these past few months, because I know that their heart is in the right place, and I know that they are here showing all of us that they care about what happens in Miami, what happens in Homestead. So, like many of the people that are here today, and like the children that are behind me, the thousands of kids that are behind me, I am an immigrant. I came here when I was 14 years old, and I came with my mother and my sisters with love and support. I was never separated from my family. And only in this incredible country does an immigrant like myself now represent this incredible community. Homestead is a thriving, beautiful, incredible, diverse, rich in its culture. And we should not have a facility that's detaining over, now, today we got confirmation, 2,700 kids. When I was here in February, we had 1,600 kids. What they've been doing, this for-profit company, is adding beds because they're making close to $2 million a day by keeping these kids here, most of them with family members. Just this week, we saw the tragedy of the image of Oscar Martinez with his beautiful 23-month-old baby girl. We had a moment of silence yesterday on the House floor, and that image should show all of us the desperate conditions that they're fleeing from. They don't come here because they are criminals. They come here because they need our help, and the Trump administration has created a crisis at the border by not processing asylum requests and by separating kids from their parents, from their aunts, and from their uncles. We have requested access to the Homestead Detention Facility, and we were denied entry once again this morning. What I have seen in the past is a prison-like facility. I have described the conditions. I have serious concerns about the safety of the kids. And for all of us who have fled Latin American corruption,
for the Venezuelans and the Cubans and the Nicaraguans and the Salvadoreños. I want to talk to you. I am Ecuadorian. I want you to listen, okay? We fled governments of corruption where the violation of human rights was apparent. This is what is happening today in the United States of America under this administration, and I want all of you to pay attention to the fact that right now we're imprisoning kids for profit. I am so delighted, honored to be standing here with the presidential candidates. I know that as they continue through their campaign trail, they will not forget what they experienced this morning. I know that we are going to take on the White House, and I feel confident knowing that we have such incredible candidates that will be able to run this country, to deal with the immigration problem that we have, and also put the priority of the safety of our kids first. So with that, I want to introduce Senator Kristen Gillibrand. I met the senator when I was campaigning, and I was impressed and taken by her very quickly. So thank you, Kristen, for coming here, and please.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman, for your leadership, for shining a light on the outrage of the Trump administration, the fact that they are locking up children, separating children from their parents. 7 children have died under the Trump administration's policies. 7 precious lives lost. Dozens of children are still separated from their parents with no plan of bringing those children and parents back together again. Not even the information they need to bring those families back together again. And I suspect that hundreds of the children in this facility have families they could be going to right now, have families in this community, in this country, that they could be safely placed with to care for them. This is about children. I cannot tell you how angry it makes me when you lock up a child and deny them the time they need to play outside, the time they need to be with loved ones and family members. That is what they are doing. I have toured HHS facilities before in Texas. I know what it looks like. It's like a prison. The beds are lined just like you'd see in a prison. No personal effects. Nothing like home. No comfort. We have heard about sexual assault allegations here in this facility by staff. We have heard of children who are undergoing trauma because they do not know how to make sense of being imprisoned as a child, as an innocent child. This administration has no humanity. What will it take for President Trump to have an ounce of compassion? What will it take for the Republican Party to have an inch of spine? I can't tell you because we've not seen it. So I just want to thank the advocates here who are shining a light, lifting up the voices who need to be heard. The young children I spoke to today, whose parents are undocumented and who are afraid that their families will be ripped apart. I'm running for President of the United States because I will make sure we have a humane asylum process, that we do not use for-profit prisons or for-profit facilities like the one here to lock up children. I would use community-based asylum procedures so children like this would be in the community with lawyers assigned to them for their asylum claims. The children cannot wait. The children are traumatically affected deeply, perhaps for life. This is not who we are as a country. This is not what America stands for. And that's why I'm running for president.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. I would like to, it's a pleasure to introduce Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who has impressed me with his Spanish. And Mayor Pete.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. Muchísimas gracias de su liderazgo sobre este asunto. And thank you. We are here today, but I know there are a lot of activists who have been here week after week after week. Thank you for shining a light on this issue. You see here a lot of people who may have been competing for the last couple of days, but are absolutely on the same side and united when it comes to the way a country that believes itself to be the greatest in the world ought to handle the least among us, the most endangered, the most vulnerable. Children fleeing violence. Children who did not even make the decision to cross here often, but were brought here by parents who were doing what any parent would do. Children who have been separated from those they love. No one's here to take advantage of America. They are here fleeing for their lives. No están buscando el sueño americano. Están huyendo la pesadilla de sus propios países. Y hay que apoyarlos. We have a moral obligation to support them. We went into that facility and requested the opportunity to see what's going on there, pursuant to a federal law, which requires at least that members of Congress be able to access that facility, and we were told no. We were told sorry. We were told somebody had to place a phone call to somebody somewhere in Washington, and it didn't happen. You and I paid for this place. What is being done in that building is being done in our name and with our money. It is wrong. It is wrong. But if it's our tax money, if it's our country, then it's our obligation to bring about something different, and that's what we're here to do. We will say no more to prisons for children. Never again.
Never again. Never again. Never again. Never again. Never again.
And this is what it means to actually put our values into action. They talk about family values. They talk about faith. Talk about freedom. Are we seeing family values? Are we seeing freedom in that building? We asked the sleeping conditions of the children. We said, well, the ones that are in a room, they're 6 to a room. So they're better off than the ones that are in a bay. I said, what's a bay? I said, well, that's where there's a lot more beds. I said, how many beds? I said, I'm not sure. More than 100. More than 100 people in a room. 2,700 children. Many of whom have people waiting to take them in right now. Many of whom have family members ready to accommodate them. It is unacceptable. But as long as there is a profit motive to lock people up in this country, we will see more of this. As I understand it, this is America's first for-profit child prison. Let us not rest until it can be said with certainty that this is America's last ever for-profit child prison. We stand together and we will get this done. Thank you.
Now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce an incredible leader, Senator Kamala. I met the senator also throughout the campaign trail. The senator came down and also got to see what our community, to understand our community, to see what it was like. So this is not new for the senator. She's been here before, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here to my district today. Thank you.
Mucho gusto. Listen, we're all here because we know that we have to stand up for our America when the Trump administration overlooks the fact that what is happening with the detention of these children, the circumstances by which they arrived, is a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government. And so we are here to stand up and say that we are not going to allow this to happen, not on our watch. I will tell you, when elected, the first thing I'm going to do, one of the first things, is to shut down these private detention facilities. Just shut them down. Because let's be clear about what's going on here. There are people who are literally profiting off of the incarceration of children. Like, just reflect on that for a moment. There are people who are profiting off of the incarceration of children. And then let's break it down a little bit more and ask, who are these children? They are children who have fled, most of them, murder capitals of the world. They are children who have arrived at our shore, at our border, seeking safety, seeking refuge, seeking security. And we pride ourselves on the strength of our nation. Well, part of the strength of our nation is supposed to be that we have strong arms, which will embrace and protect anyone fleeing or facing harm. But that's not what we see from this administration, because this is an administration that prefers to beat people down instead of lift them up. And that's why we need a new president of the United States. Yeah. This is not reflective of who we are. And I'll tell you, I serve on the Senate Homeland Security Committee. And I have asked over the course of this administration, from John Kelly to Kirsten Nielsen, and then McClellan. And consistently, they have failed to give your United States Congress transparency and accurate information about what they are doing. Repeatedly, I have asked them to give us information about the thousands of complaints of sexual abuse that have occurred within these HHS facilities. And they have failed to adequately inform your United States Congress, which has a constitutional duty and responsibility to conduct oversight over exactly what's happening in this facility. So we are seeing a breakdown not only of our moral values, we're seeing a breakdown of our democracy when this administration allows this kind of conduct to occur, and clearly has instructed these folks not to give members of your United States Congress access and information. So we have a fight before us, a challenge before us, which is not only to stand with these families and fight for these children, but to fight for our democracy, and so fight we will. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. Thank you, Senator. Now, I would like to introduce Governor John Hickenlooper. It's the first time I meet the governor, but I am so impressed by the fact that he took the time to come down here to understand what's affecting our community. I'm so grateful, Governor, for that. So, without much ado.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I appreciate your leadership on this from the beginning, all through making sure that these people have a voice. It's very powerful. I'm impressed. I'll be very brief. I look at what we tried to do in Colorado as a template for what we can do in this country. We actually closed 2 prisons. One of them was a private prison. And the one thing we've always required is when you have a private facility of detention, and especially one that is detaining children, you should have higher requirements of transparency than you do in a public institution. Because obviously when there's a profit motive involved, we want to make absolutely sure that they're not cutting corners, that they are not unduly, exaggerating the damage that we already know is being done. I think back to when I first read about the humanitarian crisis at the border, that children would be taken from the arms of their parents and put into cages, and that in a number of cases, these children were put up for adoption. I don't know, in Colorado we call that kidnapping. I think the time has come to recognize that we can do a better job, that these kids do have sponsors, most of them related in some way with the children themselves. Let's make sure we get these kids back into homes where they really are homes, and not essentially, there's no other way for it, essentially prison facilities. I appreciate all you being here and realize that your voice and your efforts is going to be the strongest tool that we have to make sure this ends in the near future.
Thank you. And I would also like to introduce someone that I have had also the pleasure of meeting several times, that I've always been so impressed with. Former Secretary of Housing, Julian Castro, who has been down here also several times. And I'll let him talk to this issue, but this couldn't be more personal for you and for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Thank you for your leadership. It's good to be with you all today. Let me begin by saying that the reason we're here is all about who we are as a nation and what we want to become in the years to come. We came here today to get a look at a private detention facility for children. And instead of being shown this detention facility where 2,700 kids are staying, we were stonewalled. We were stonewalled today by an administration and a private contractor that does not want us to see what is happening behind those walls. And it makes you wonder, what in the hell are they hiding? Is it the overcrowding? Is it the sexual abuse? Is it the emotional damage that has been done to these children, many of whom are here for weeks and weeks, and some of them for several months? We need to reform our immigration system. Necesitamos reformar el sistema inmigración. Es necesario proteger estos niños. It's necessary to protect these children. And this administration, for all of its talk about immigration, has been a complete disaster. It has been a total failure. Donald Trump knew when he got into office on January 20th, 2017, that we had many people who were already coming from Central America. He should have immediately reached out to Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala to partner with them so that more people could find safety and opportunity at home instead of having to come to the United States. Instead of that, he has wasted 2.5 years and made the situation worse. Last month, 144,000 people came to our southern border. We need to stop playing games with people who are seeking asylum. The reason that Oscar Martinez and his daughter Valeria drowned in that river was because they were denied the ability to make an asylum claim at a port of entry. And they got so frustrated that they risked their lives, and it cost them their lives, to try and get across that river. We need to stop that. We need to honor asylum claims. We need to make sure that our immigration court system is independent and it has the judges and the support staff that they need to get those claims determined more quickly. We also need to make sure that these children are not in a detention facility, but in the homes of family members or caregivers who love them, that can provide for them. One of the questions that was asked inside was how long it takes, or the gentleman that we spoke to talked about how long it takes for them to vet potential sponsors. And he said that it was between 7 and 14 days. If you want a concrete example of something that we can do to improve this system, it is to make sure that it does not take 2 weeks to vet sponsors, that we can do that immediately. And I believe that we can fix our broken immigration system and treat people with common sense and with compassion instead of with cruelty. And we're going to make sure that beginning on January 20th, 2021, we do that and we shut these places down. Gracias.
Thank you, Secretary. I would like to introduce, and I don't think she needs introduction in this community, Commissioner Daniela Levin-Cava. The Commissioner went inside the facility this morning, so I would like for her to speak as to what she saw.
Congresswoman, you have been our champion. You have been in before. You have supported these witnesses who've been here for months. Thank you. Thank you so much for your courage. Thank you. And to all of those who are bringing attention to this matter, it's so important because the world needs to know that this should not be happening in our country, on our watch, in my community. These children are physically cared for. It is an antiseptic facility. I saw the children. I was not allowed to speak with them. I saw the cafeterias. I saw the dorms. You know, what is important is not so much what's happening outside, it's what's happening inside. That we cannot know. These children have suffered to get to this country. They suffered at the border when so many of them were separated from family members that were prepared to care for them right then. They suffered when they were not placed in community settings. There is no temporary foster program in this state for these children. I learned that there is in other states. Why can't we have that here? So many of the people here today are ready to open their homes to these children. So many of them should be cleared immediately, not 7 days, not 14 days. I was told it's an average of 30 days, but we know for many it's so much longer, and the population is growing. So the answer is shut it down. We must shut it down. Not on our watch. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would like to just make my final remarks in Spanish. Quiero agradecer a todos los candidatos presidenciales que vinieron esta mañana para acompañarme para visitar el centro de detención de Homestead. No nos dejaron entrar. Este centro tiene en este momento 2.700 chicos entre las edades de 13 y 17 años y han escapado de violencia, y la mayoría de ellos han sido separados en la frontera. Y quiero mandar un mensaje a mi comunidad latina del sur de la Florida. Nuestros valores son de familia, de proteger a nuestros hijos. Nosotros hemos venido acá para darles oportunidades a nuestros hijos que no podíamos darle en nuestros países. Por eso mi madre me trajo acá. Yo sé que mis hermanos venezolanos están sufriendo en este momento y entienden muy bien lo que es escapar un gobierno de corrupción y de violencia. A mis hermanos cubanos, ustedes también entienden lo que es, y yo sé que como padres nos han enseñado, Dios nos ha enseñado que el valor de tener a nuestras familias unidas nunca va a dejar de separarnos. Así que estoy pidiendo a la comunidad de Miami, del sur de la Florida, que nos acompañen. Yo he estado luchando por este tema por meses. Necesito que estén conmigo. Por eso agradezco tanto a estos candidatos que vinieron, a la comisionadora Daniela Levin Cava y a todos los activistas y a las personas que han estado aquí acompañándonos por meses, día a día, contándonos lo que han estado viendo, porque este centro tenía 1.600 chicos en febrero y ahora estamos casi a 3.000, y hay una compañía que se está enriqueciendo para mantener a estos chicos adentro, y no es justo, no está bien, no en nuestra comunidad, no en el estado de la Florida y no en los Estados Unidos de América. Gracias.
Robert, how? Do you have anything better to do? Yeah. Thank you all. Spanish I did in high school. Which is why you kind of tell it's high school Spanish. Yeah, for Arabic. We're gonna do interviews. Thanks, guys. We gotta go. Thank you for coming. Always even lawyers. That's not allowed to do details of what's going on. So there have been reports of sexual assault, that children have depression, they have anxiety about sexual separation.
Una preguntita. Una preguntita.
Lo estoy diciendo.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. We gotta go.
Cuando la niña todos los niños cuando van a regresar rápido.
¿Cómo se llama? Roxana, mi sobrina se llama Roxana.
I don't think anybody came
Mi hermana se llama
with
Lili.
the
Lili
assumption
Roxy. La mamá de mi sobrina.
they deny people entry to the facility because they do enter the facility get to actually see, and it makes you wonder, what are these facilities hiding? If they only have tightly controlled tours,
The bottom one, top, silver, yep.
where they're able to clean things up before anybody comes in, and they have non-disclosure agreements with lawyers who can't even talk about the conditions that they see or what their clients, have told them, then who's really monitoring these facilities except for a morally bankrupt administration that has shown no concern for these children? And we need to close this facility. We need to end family detention for teenagers like many of these who come into the country who are unaccompanied. We need to reduce the amount of time drastically that it takes to vet their sponsors so that they can live with a family member who's already here in the United States or someone else who is willing to step up and be a caregiver. This is about who we are as people, and I don't think anybody except this president supports allowing little children to sleep on cold concrete floors without soap or a toothbrush, or for some of these kids to be detained for several months.
On Section 1325, on Section 1325 and ending, how much traction do you think you got in the presidential field with your push? It seems like you got
the number one thing that people want to know is, are you going to be able to take on Donald Trump? If you stand on that debate stage with Donald Trump, are you going to be able to hold your own? I more than showed that I can hold my own. Not every candidate can say that.
What are your proposals to the Venezuelan immigrants?
We support you. Maduro has been a dictator in Venezuela.
How are you? Nice to see you.
How are you? I'm Robert Powell.
Oh, it's nice to meet you.
Starving, living in bad conditions so they can get the humanitarian assistance they need, and that they get a free and fair election to choose a leader of Venezuela.
How about CBS? How about CBS for the 300,000 Haitians, Salvadorans, Hondurans, Nicaraguans? They're all facing deportation soon.
Under my immigration plan, we would extend CBS for all of the countries that have been threatened by this administration, also Venezuela. And we would put that facing up to what's going on. Hey Brad, are you ready for us to come to in no other condition? Cool. We can do it right over here in front of this side. Okay, cool. Why don't I'll start on this sign and then I'll start on this sign and then
I'll stand over there.
Yeah, we'll let you pan when you're ready.
Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Hello, Move On family. As you saw, presidential candidates and members of Congress and activists are not having this anymore. And right now, I'd like to take the time to announce our day of action on July 2nd. It's on closethecampsnow.org. We'll mobilize across the country to demand closure of these ruthless, cruel prison camps and keeping children under wraps for no fault of their own, separating families. Again, that's closethecampsnow.org, and we'll see you. It starts on Tuesday at noon. So this Tuesday, July 2nd, closethecampsnow.org. In a moment, we're going to have Julian Castro and a couple of other presidential candidates and folks to talk to you. But right now, I just want to announce now, closethecampsnow.org, July 2nd, Tuesday at noon.
These children don't have to sleep in a private prison on cold concrete floors, 100 in a room.
Would you take
There
money?
are there are people who will take them in, and we need to get them into the hands of those people.
Would you take a donation from the GEO group? Would you take a
No,
donation
we're not.
from them?
We're not
Okay.
taking it.
Okay.
Secretary Castro, I appreciate your moral leadership.
Thank you very much.
Big fan here. I just got my first paycheck yesterday. I donated monthly to your
Thanks a
campaign
lot.
because you inspire me a lot.
I
So
appreciate
I really
it
appreciate
very
your moral
much.
guidance and leadership on this
Thank
issue,
you.
especially immigration, because it hits home, you know? So
We'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing and pushing.
Have a good day.
Secretary, do you have a comment on the Supreme Court's decision to take up DACA?
You know, I haven't. Was that today? I imagine I have not seen that. You know, my hope is that the court will find that DACA is constitutionally permissible. If I'm elected president, in my first 100 days, we're going to push immigration reform. We learned from 2009 and 2010 that we can't wait to move forward with immigration reform. My immigration reform plan includes dreamers, but not only dreamers, all undocumented immigrants who have not committed a serious crime would be put on a pathway to citizenship. We need to do that. Whatever the court rules, we know that in the next administration, we're going to have the opportunity to reform our immigration system, and I would do that.
Secretary Castro, all the different candidates have different immigration plans. Why does yours specifically focus on Section 1325?
My immigration plan calls for the repeal of Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationality Act because that is the exact law that allows the Trump administration to separate migrant parents from their little children. If they didn't have that law, they couldn't get away with this separation. The only way we're going to guarantee that a future administration does not separate migrant parents from their children is to repeal Section 1325. And for the longest time, basically, even though that law was in place, we treated these things as a civil matter instead of a criminal one. We need to go back to that.
And Trump has screwed it all up. Thank you so much, Secretary. Nice to see you.
All right.
I saw you at the book.
Secretary Castro, do you mind if I get a picture? Thanks for taking the picture.
I just want to talk about a minute to move on members of our life.
I believe so, yes. We kind of wrap it up.
Take some light. Stick right there.
Hi, Congressman.
I'm good. How are you? You're fine.
So, Congressman, have you been able to visit the older kids facility or just the younger?
Thank you.
No, they're just mining up for yeah, for
I was like, I don't know.
I'm on TV.
Oh no, I'm not.
Okay, good.
Live. Don't worry, believe me. I don't. Okay. All right. So this is the moment, right? Okay. Perfect. There's also a presidential candidate, Marianne Williamson. She just arrived. She arrived late. Really?
Yeah, grab there.
They don't let kids touch each other. They don't let siblings be close together. They separate the siblings. So if one sibling is 16 and the other one is 13, they're in different areas. They're siblings.
Do you know the age?
13 to 17 when they turn 18, I hand them twice a shot.
On their birthday.
On their birthday.
And then that facility holds what, 13 to 15, and this is 16 to 17? And are the conditions different?
I'm not 100% sure. That, I don't know if it's 17 or 18. I would assume it's 16, 17, but I don't have 100%.
Johnny with ABC. Hey, can you talk about what you think was accomplished here today? I mean, having 5 presidential candidates here, what kind of impact do you think that has? Could that spur change?
I wanted them to come and see all of Miami-Dade County, not just downtown and the beautiful beaches. I wanted them to understand what was happening in our community, that we are detaining kids, close to 3,000. And for me, it was important that they understood the problems that we face with this administration. This administration has problems with keeping kids in our community. So as they go along their campaign trail, I want them to keep in mind what is happening so that they can have a serious plan that will fix our broken immigration system.
What are the main answers that you're still hoping to get that you're not getting from staff here?
No one can truly give me the average stay for the kids. I hear 44, 60, 30, 14. I mean, it's all over the place. I don't get any information on the sexual abuse allegations. I have yet to receive a hurricane plan. And someone said, well, why does she want a hurricane plan? Because we're in hurricane season right now. Right now, we are in the midst of hurricane season. And why are we adding beds? Why are we not reuniting them with their families and their sponsors? We should be reducing the beds. Why are case managers not allowed to talk to immigration attorneys? There's so much secrecy. And I am glad that now nationally people are paying attention.
Have you heard anything from the Trump administration about this facility? I mean, what kind of communications have been, if at all?
I have heard zero, because John Kelly, who used to work in the Trump administration as his chief of staff, is on the board of this company, and he's profiting right now. So I haven't heard of it.
Did you get a chance to watch the debate on either nights, and what was your reaction? What was your general reaction
I think
to it?
that we have many competent, great candidates, and it's too early to tell, but I'm excited about a few of them.
Okay. Thanks, Congresswoman.
I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, yes, I know. Thank you for coming. Were you here? Thank you so much. The way he spoke, that was intense. I liked her.
Yeah, we're gonna just walk you on.
We'll be quick.
Thank you for your thank you. No, thank you for
Sebastian, that's what I do. Quick and easy. That's my job.
Thank you.
Yes, we're still going to do. Are we? Is it? Because then we're leaving.
Okay. Isn't Monica
Love to do a proper interview. I need to leave the Bertelsmann Foundation to do a documentary on these issues.
Hi, Reggie. Move on.
Reggie,
Good to see you again. Right. So this is our Facebook Live. So just talk about what just happened, how you're feeling.
I'm very. I was very happy to see that so many of the presidential candidates came to visit a part of Miami-Dade County that has been hidden from national attention, and that was my purpose, to bring light and national attention to the fact that we have close to 3,000 kids that are being held in a for-profit detention facility. John Kelly, who was chief of staff of the Trump administration, is on the board of this company, that instead of reducing the beds, they're adding to it. In February, there were 1,600. Today, we have close to 3,000 kids that are being housed. We're paying this company, this administration is paying this company close to $2 million a day, and they're saying that they're running out of funds. We need to move these kids with their families, with their sponsors, and I guarantee that they can find the funding necessary to provide the basic necessities for the kids that are on the border that have no food, no diapers, and no basic care.
And Debbie, what's your what's your message to move on members about how they can get involved?
You sent me in 2018 to the House of Representatives, an immigrant from Ecuador, only in this country, only with you behind me I was able to do that. We need you to mobilize and to do the same. 2020 is going to be the most important election. We have to change the White House, we have to change the Senate, and we have to keep people like me fighting for everyone in this community. Thank you.
I think I'm ready. We're just going to take a shot of that.
Well, there are people waiting to take these children. Right. There are family members who want to take these children. There are parents. It's not like these children have nowhere to go. That's what's so wrong about this. It is not like these children have nowhere to go. And there are parents waiting for them. There are aunts and uncles waiting for them, brothers and sisters waiting for them, nonprofit organizations waiting for them, religious organizations waiting for them. There are people all over this country ready. These children are being detained specifically for the purposes of weaponizing this meanness and using it to harness the power of fear and mean-spiritedness for political purposes by the Trump administration. These children are being mistreated in order for Donald Trump to be able to prove whatever he feels is his right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So yes, I'm Emily Good with the Daily Mail. Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah.
So people were really impressed with your debate performance. How did you feel like so many people searched for you, even though you didn't get a lot of speaking time? Like people thought you did great.
Some people had nice things to say. Some people had snarky things to say. But even some of the snarky comments were very funny. Even I had to laugh.
Were you happy with your debate performance at the time?
This is my first time. This was my first time. I hope to hopefully I'll be able to lay down my arguments in a different way next time.
What inspired you to say you called the head of New Zealand, Prime Minister of New
Oh,
Zealand?
okay. Thank you for giving me the chance to clarify that. The Prime Minister of New Zealand had said that she wants, her goal for New Zealand, one of her goals is that it be the best place in the world for a child to grow up. And she said specifically, I was so impressed, she said, I'm not saying just for a parent to raise a child, but for a child to grow up. So I've been saying at my campaign, one of my first calls is going to be to her to say, girlfriend, you are on. We're going to have a healthy competition here because I want the United States to be as good as any country for a child to grow up. We have 13 million American children who go to school hungry every day. We have millions of American children who go to schools and classrooms that don't even have adequate school supplies with which to teach a child to read. And if a child cannot learn to read by the age of 8, then the chances of high school graduation are drastically decreased and the chances of incarceration are drastically increased. One of the reasons that I'm running for president is because the reaction of the political establishment to this problem is to simply normalize the despair of these children. I see it as a huge humanitarian emergency. I feel that we should be rescuing these children no differently than we would be rescuing them from a natural disaster. The Prime Minister of New Zealand is an example to me of a world leader who is putting the welfare of the children of her country right where it belongs, and that is front and center, and that's what I'm doing this
Let me ask, do you believe in, believe in vaccinating children?
Yes, I am pro-vaccine, I am pro-science. Anytime there is a medical intervention, there are both benefits and risks, and the United States must always, the government must always come down on the side of public safety, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything you're going to change before the next debate, any kind of different?
I'm going to learn how to box. I'm going to learn how to just elbow my way in. And if some man won't let me talk, I need to stand up to him on stage the way I normally stand up to somebody like that in my private. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a picture with you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
Can you do a picture real quick? It's an old-fashioned camera. All right. Oh, wait. Just thanks. Just hold the button down. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Would you do that for me, please? Don't touch me. I'm a sweaty mess.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. I was on your statements. I'm so glad you're in the campaign.
You didn't think I just made a fool of myself?
I thought it was fantastic. No, my heart was just there, and thank you so much. And don't touch me because I'm disgusting.
And I will be long gone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To start with, why don't you just tell us what you're feeling being outside of one of these centers right now?
I was feeling this deeply even before I was here. As I said in the debate last night, this represents state-sponsored crime in my mind. A kidnapping of a child is a crime. The deliberate perpetration of trauma on a child is child abuse, and that's a crime. This is beyond immoral. I mean, the essence of my campaign is pointing out the immorality of so much American public policy today, governmental policy. But this is beyond immoral. This is lawless. This is criminal. And I think Americans just kind of aren't used to this. We've never had this kind of a situation before, so I think there's a little bit of denial here. This is something that is so egregious. It represents such an erosion of our moral principles, such an erosion of our core philosophy regarding immigration. So Martin Luther King had an expression, coalition of conscience. And if ever that had a meaning, it has it now. You have people here from religious organizations, social justice organizations. So many different aspects of our culture are showing up now with this bearing witness to what is happening here. You know, Gandhi had a phrase, satyagraha, and it was about soul force. He called it soul force, that you bear witness to the agony of others. That's the good news. The good news is that we are here. So you might say to yourself, well, what does it matter? We're here. No, it matters a lot because it brings attention and it brings moral force. And that is what is necessary. So I'm very impressed by the Congresswoman. She's doing her job. She's doing the job she should be doing. I think she's a great leader in all of this. I'm impressed by what some people in the Congress are certainly trying to do. I'm impressed by what the ACLU is doing. I'm impressed by Witness Homestead, and I'm just glad to be part of the chorus, and I will continue to make this a pillar message of my campaign, and hopefully helps. Well, my father is an immigration lawyer. My brother is an immigration lawyer. So I grew up with the plight of the immigrant front and center. Even more than that, my 4 grandparents all came here through Ellis Island in order to find asylum from conditions of oppression that they were experiencing in Russia. That's my own family. And I also realized something that I learned as a child that I was so clear about. Well, two things. First of all, because as a child, having an immigration lawyer for a father, I went to many of those ceremonies where people become citizens. So what I knew from the time I was a little girl was, number one, the average immigrant, and I think every immigrant, because of all they have to do in order to become a citizen, knows more about American history, more about American civics, more about American government. That's number one. Number two, there's something in the psychic bloodstream of a nation when you have enough people who are there because they were hungry to get here. You know, and they bring something, there's so much a part of the psychic bloodstream. And third, which is very connected to that I think a lot of Americans don't seem to realize or remember, they bring at least as much to us as this country brings to them. And if you're not either a descendant of a slave or a descendant from a Native American who was here for thousands of years before the white settler got here, who do we think we are? Who do we think we are? You know, we act like we have some special rights, and we don't.
And lastly, if there's one message you want people to take away from this today.
We must continue to resist this. We must continue to voice it. We must continue to be loud about it. We must, you know, sometimes, and this is what really is so problematic, is that Trump administration policies, it becomes exhausting. And of course, that's their technique, to just wear us down, that we'll just get too tired. So far, we're doing well on this. But now we have to, obviously, I'm in a campaign, so I know that a campaign is certainly a drive forward. We must replace this. We must draw a very, very strong line in the sand. This shall not go forward. And I believe we do have, you know, judging from being here, seeing the people who are here, it's happening. The resistance to this is happening, but we can't stop. We just have to keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, you never met the Congress representative? No.
And Phil?
Sir, if you'd like, I can write down my Instagram.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was recorded. Yeah, Alexander, we got it.
Well, it's YEAHLEXANDER.
Yeah,
Like the
Alexander.
word yeah, like YEAH, and then Alexander without the A.
Cool.
I don't know why that is.
Cool.
But what's your, if you want, I can get your email.
Yeah, that's great.
Do
Yep.
you want to, if you want, you can just dictate it to me unless you want to.
Yeah,
put it in both parts.
I thought I'd see Cassie walk over.
Yeah, Natalie is going to arrange that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll come right here?
Yeah. Can you come here?
Oh yeah, is this also moving?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So here's Phyllis here.
Hi.
On our camera.
Good to see you again. Hi there. We've been texting probably.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Castro on standby.
Red, right here. You going to prep him?
Hey Brad, you copy? Castro on standby. Are we up or we'll just record? Will's talking so much, I can't hear you. Okay, if you're talking to me, I can't hear you.
Okay.
Tell me about this will be the camera. About your experiences here. Do you want to? What you did with different conditions? And we have a day of action on the 2nd of July. Okay. And close the camps. Close the camps down.
You will. He's going to go down to see the children.
How far down is that?
Just a few hundred yards.
July 2nd day of action against.
It's important.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So we'll do it here.
You got a moment for us?
Yeah.
Close enough? Too close?
No, it's just fine. Were you able to get inside the center today?
We couldn't get inside today. They had somebody there from the government that said they could not allow us to look at the facility. They only give guided tours at specific times of this facility, and it makes you wonder, what in the world are these people hiding? They only give guided tours, and they make the lawyers who represent the kids here sign a non-disclosure agreement that they can't talk about the conditions or what's going on in the facility. There have been reports of sexual abuse that have happened here. There are a lot of kids that are experiencing depression and anxiety from being separated from their parents. What are they hiding here? We need to end these kinds of facilities. We need to end family detention and to replace the cruelty of this Trump administration with common sense and compassion. We can maintain border security, but also treat people like human beings. We can find these children homes of loved ones who already live in the United States or people who are willing to be foster parents to them and do that much more quickly than we're doing that now. That's what I would do if I'm elected president.
I think by being here today, you're reinforcing that message?
I came here to shine a light on the fact that we have 2,700 children living in a private prison. And that's not who we should be as Americans. Our attention is it's torn so many ways today, and people's attention span is so short. But we need to summon the moral outrage at what's happened in the United States in the last 2 years and how little children have been treated. If you had a child in a suburban home in this country that was made to sleep on a cold concrete floor and they never turned off the lights and they weren't given a soap or toothbrush, that child could be taken away from the parent by Child Protective Services. So why are these children still in the custody of the federal government?
Great, thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna head over.
Can you also say closethecamps.now.org? To join their National Day of Action on July 2nd, go to closethecamps.now.org.
Yeah.
Thank you. 1 second, sir. Sir, sorry.
We're just doing a video, but then we'll take a picture.
No, we're fine.
Okay. I hope that you'll join MoveOn.org's National Day of Action on July 2nd. Okay. Sure. I hope you'll join MoveOn.org's National Day of Action on July 2nd. Go to closethecamps.org to find out more information and sign up.
We gotta get going.
Somebody had one when I got here and they made a comment about it. And she gave me one. He grew it up for me. And she said they got him a long time ago. And